Welcome back to the channel. Yours truly, DJ Sound Expression, and basically today we're talking about equipment needed for the studio, especially for home recorders. Yep, very simple topic because most of the time people get caught up with all the gimmickry and all the information that's on social media about what equipment to use, that they should be using this piece of equipment, that piece of gear, whatever the case is. But what a lot of people sometimes don't tell you is which part of the production are we talking about? Which part of the production are we talking about? Are we talking about recording? Are we talking about mixing? Or are we talking about mastering? One of the three of those. Now, if you're a newcomer to the recording industry and you're trying to figure out what gear you need, my personal thing would be to tell you up front, don't be too hasty to jump into the analog realm as yet or anything like that. If you have had a lot of time on your DAW using the VST plugs and you want to then add flavor, cool. I will also show you that in a couple seconds. But use the DAW for now and add in the plugins that you would like to purchase as hardware. There's so much gear out there to try, but you know what? The easiest way to really try them is using the VST plugins. The sounds will be slightly off, not too far off though, but you get an understanding for how that piece of hardware works. And you could create chains upon chains. So you could purchase, let's say, one master bus compressor and use it on numerous tracks, in comparison to if you're buying one piece of hardware and could only use it on one track at one time. So that's the beauty about the VST plugins. That's what we advise people on using the VST plugins, getting accustomed to the VST plugins, even in the recording phase. You can use the parametric EQs, the compressors, the pre's, so you can use all those things as VST plugins and save yourself a ton of money in the beginning stages. But when you want to step out and purchase hardware, now that's the fun part. You have to make the decision on first thing first based upon your pocket, how much money is in your pocket, and what you want this piece of gear for. And is it really that necessary, or you just heard about it and you think that will give you the ultimate sound, So if you're on the look for analog gear, first thing first, I will recommend, like in Barbados for me, I go to A&B Music Supplies, Music and Echo, or even Linda's Disco for all of the equipment needs that I have in Barbados. If I can't find it in Barbados, then I might check on eBay, Amazon, or even Sweetwater. So y'all guys could check out all of these places. I tell you, if you're in Barbados, Music and Echo, A&B Music Supply, or Linda's Disco. If you're on the outside world, you could check eBay, even Craigslist, Amazon, and even Sweetwater. So it all depends. If you're buying a piece of gear, you might want it new. If it's new, it might cost you a tidy penny, but you get that warranty. Now, if you buying it second hand, you might not get that warranty. But most of the time, my experience with eBay was that I never had a problem. Gear that I've purchased on that will stand the test of time. So I can't complain or argue about it. I've seen a lot of reviews and before people purchase, and people saying that yes, this person is reputable, their gear is usually good, you could purchase from this person. So that's one thing about eBay that I like. Now, looking at the recording gear now, you would do the same thing. Preamp, EQ, parametric EQ, compressor. Those are about basically the same thing that you would need as, and that would be like a vocal chain basically. Not in necessarily that order, because sometimes you might want to compress before EQ before you compress. Whichever one, that is your choice and your way of making it sound and your creative skills. So that is just a basic outline, but if you're, as I say, to buy each piece of gear might be pretty expensive. If you want a proper one, it might cost like the pre's $1,000 and up. The Paltec EQs and stuff like that, that is a lot of money, $2,000-$3,000. and even the compressors another 2-3 thousand. That's in the high end market. But if you're just a home recorder, chances are you might not be looking that expensive. There's even budget gear that you could purchase. They're like compressors from DBX, Behringer. You have, as I said, check on eBay, because people suddenly be closing studios or just getting rid of gear because they're bringing in new gear, and they'll be selling it dirt cheap. So you might be able to find some high-end gear for a cheap price that you can handle. So you have to look at it from that perspective. One of the tricks I usually advise people is see if you can find, if you don't have a lot of money, see if you can find a nice mixing board with good pre's in it, and use it, especially if it have direct out, and allow you to use the equalizer within the chain with the direct out. That is even better, because now you have a full analog console with pre's and EQs. You don't have to worry too much. You could use the compression from within the DAW if you need to use it. So for me personally, and once your IOs have enough ins and outs, you're good to go to connect all of that. That's just the recording section. The mixing section now, separating recording, you're going to mixing. Mixing now, as I say, this is where the board will come in handy. So if you got the mixing board now, let's say you just mixing. You have a mixing board, an analog one, that is cool. A digital board, that is cool. You might want to mix directly in the box. That is cool too. You could just use the VST plugins, which are more reasonably priced, and you could get your work done. Recalling is a lot easier, etc. So let's look at the mixing section now. If you want the outboard gear, yes, you will need some compressors. Yes, you will need some EQs, even a limiter, even some reverbs and delays. You might look at TC Electronics and Lexicons. Even Behringer got some cheap, reasonable reverb machines. So you can look at all of these things, all of these options. And as I said, you could also look at eBay. Forget one, which was Reverb earlier. Reverb is a nice place to also shop at. And then if you got the money, a little bit more in your pocket, you could purchase from Amazon, Sweetwater, and if you're in Barbados, you could check out A&B Music Supply, Linda's Disco, or even Music and Echo. That's as simple as that gets. So the mixing board would give you a lot of range in terms of being able to have a lot of equalizers on it, so that you don't have to use equalizers inside your DAW and bog down your CPU with a lot of the work, especially if your computer is not that powerful. But in this modern day, a lot of the computers handling the work pretty decent, especially if you got at least 16 gigs of RAM, you're good to go. I would recommend in this time though, the minimum in RAM would be like, I would say even 64, and that's still starting to get a little overkill. Even 32 is pretty decent. You should be able to handle everything with 32 gigs of RAM, because it seems like the computers now have surpassed the programs, so they can handle the pressure from the programs. Mixing. One piece of gear that I would say not to focus too much on. Let me see. Someone asked me if there's any gear within the mixing that I wouldn't focus on. No, because basically whichever gear you could get your hands on would be a plus to your system. The most important thing is once your room is well treated and stuff like that, you could manipulate and change whatever you need to change, because your translation is pretty decent. And that's something that is very important. Once you can hear it, you can fix it. Once you can hear it, you can fix it. So any gear that you might be able to get your hands on at giving off like a good sound, not a loud hiss or any electric sounds or low distortions or anything. No, you don't want those fire hazards or anything. So you want proper equipment at the end of the day. Want the songs good? You can use it on your tracks. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't use it or anything. So that would be a lie. I will be telling you, you can use it and you can manipulate it accordingly as you so desire. Now in the mastering section, that's a little bit more technical, but that's just like the final polish on the track. let's look at it from this perspective. You're gonna need something that some people try to use pre's to add a little warmth or some form of saturation. At this school, just to run the track through, make sure it runs smooth and nice. Some EQs, parametrics, best ones to use, not graphic. Graphic, I would if I was to use a graphic for anything, it would be like the waves. I think that's the GQ or something like that, which is a graphic equalizer 31 band. You know, I would use that in the mixing phase, not in the mastering phase. That's just me. That's just my way of doing it in the mastering. And then multi-band compression so that you could do low, mid, and high compression, mid sides, and all of that kind of stuff. So compression, that is cool. EQs definitely, and limiters. One of the major things, limiters to help bring up that sound, keep it at a good constant level so that it's loud enough. That is cool. That would be the stuff that I would say. So some of the gear can go straight through, like a compressor could go from the beginning to the end stage. A parametric could go from the beginning to the middle to the end. So you get recording, mixing, mastering. Equipment like that could go. Limiters, straight through. But things like a mixing board in the mastering you wouldn't use, but you can use that in the mixing and also in the recording stage. You know, so you just have to know which stage you're at in your production and what you want this piece of gear for. My recommendation with Gear 2 is always to try the VST plugins to understand how the gear actually works before you purchase it, and see if it's something that you would really like to put your hands on or not. But with the way the world is spinning, a lot of guys using DAWs and stuff like that, so they're just dumping everything into the computer and working from there and coming up with a fantastic sound. So would I say not to get analog gear? No. As time progresses, sometimes you might want to dabble in certain things and try certain things, and you might find you have a liking for it. So I would say go for it. Don't waste time. Just go for it. That's just how I see it. Go for it. It's very important to try new things so that you can figure out what your song will be like and what you like and what you could create. The one thing about studios that a lot of people don't understand, people just look at studios as studios, but the way I look at them is as individual sound systems. The reason why I say that is because each studio, no matter which part of the globe you are on, have different gear. There are no two studios unless they were designed by the same person to have the same thing identical. And even though they have the same thing, especially in the analog realm, they still sound slightly different. Because analog gear, all of them do sound different. And that's the beauty about it. They sound ballpark-ish around a certain area, but they still got a slight different characteristic about them. And with these studios, all of them create a great sound. And that's why it's a sound system, because like with sound system business, everybody has a big set of speakers and stuff like that, different sets of rack gear, amplifiers and stuff, and they create a sound. The studios are the same too. They have a set of rack gear, plugins, you know, space to record in, etc. And they create their own sound. Simple. And that song is unique to them. People come to you not because you could mix like someone or you could do something like someone. People come to you because of you, because of the characteristics that you bring to the song that nobody else can actually bring to that song. I can mix a song, it's going to sound totally different from if Chris Lauren Alger mix it, from if a Dave Pensado, from if you mix it. It's going to sound different. We all mix different. We all would say, well, based upon this genre, I think that this instrument should be the lead instrument and drive the sound. I might say to myself, I don't like that instrument as the lead instrument. I want the other instruments to be the lead. And that's based upon how I view the song. So it's not a right or wrong. It's just a matter of taste. And that is what people come to you for. That taste, that flavor that only you can offer. So when you're purchasing your gear, you know, you have to look at it from this perspective, that you want a particular sound and you want to try and see if you can reach or achieve this particular sound. And don't be frightened to try new things. Don't be frightened to step out the box and try to create a song that is strange or different. Don't be. Go for it, because you know what? This is what you're hearing. Nobody knows if it's right or wrong. Only you. And if you do something that everybody likes, that makes you great. That puts you on the genius level, you know. Don't hold back and say that I gotta follow this way or follow that way. No, you're buying your gear, you're creating your own sound. That is what it's all about. Getting that sound to sound unique. You don't want to sound like anybody else. You want that when your song plays and everybody hears, everybody's like, yo, this song good though. This say bumping though. I like this. It's different though. It's nice. That is what you need to do. So, as I say, check out which stage you're looking at working on. Recording, mixing, mastering, and then just get the gear appropriate for each section. That is it. Class dismissed. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. Or I should rephrase that again. Comment, like, and subscribe, share. Yes, that's it, class. So, check me out on my Patreon also. You know what? This is DJ Sound Expression. We out.